now let's get to some content here with Michael Malone and Mike Budenholzer, formerly known as Mike Malone and Mike Budenholzer. Now he wants to be addressed as Michael Malone. Denver Nuggets head coach who won a championship in 2023 and the Phoenix Suns head coach Mike Budenholzer each got canned within the last week. Mike Budenholzer, the news came out today after the NBA regular season ended yesterday and the Suns missed the playoffs with 3 future Hall of Famers on their team. And as we know, Mike Bone, Alex, I see that face. You should not be disrespecting Bradley Beal like that. But anyways, as we keep things pushing, Michael Malone, 2023 NBA champion. Mike Budenholzer, 2021 NBA champion with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now he came to Phoenix. It didn't work out. And so, Kevin, I'm going to toss this to you first as a Sacramento Kings fan who likely, as myself, was very upset when Michael Malone was fired from Sacramento a long time ago, over a decade ago. And it all dates back to DeMarcus Cousins getting viral meningitis. He was out for 5 games. Kings lose all those games. And Vivek used that as the opportunity to fire Michael Malone, who goes on to win an NBA championship. Meanwhile, us Kings fans just want to see them win a playoff series. Anyways, Michael Malone gets fired by the Denver Nuggets. Mike Budenholzer gets fired by the Phoenix Suns. Kevin, what was your reaction to each of those?
So before we get into it, I got a quick little trivia. Can you guys, in the last 60 years, there have been 2 coaches or 2 teams that have had in-season coaching changes and won the NBA championship. Can you guys give me those 2 teams?
Frank Vogel,
was
that
it
one, the Lakers?
Wait,
No.
has one been recent?
Well, one of them is David Black getting fired by the Cavs and Tyronn Lue taking over, and they won in 2016. That one's easy.
More.
There's one like in the 70s, right?
The last 40 years.
80s. So was it?
It's a 2000 team. So you don't have to go to black and white. 2000 team.
Pistons?
Oh, damn.
No, New
Jersey
Who
Nets.
else won in the 2000s?
I'll give you a specific year, 2006.
Oh, the Miami Heat? Really? Oh, yeah.
I thought they had
They
that.
hired Steve Van Gundy and hired Shaun's boy, Pat Riley.
Yeah,
He said
technically.
J.J. Redick was the next Pat Riley, so I for sure thought Shaun was going to get that.
Well, so I like when Alex said the Pistons, I was thinking to myself, no, I don't think so. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, it wasn't Greg Popovich. It wasn't Phil Jackson. It wasn't Doc Rivers. And so I was narrowing it down. You didn't give me enough time. I was narrowing it down. But yeah, I remember that. 2006, the Miami Heat. And then they obviously went on to win the championship. And Kevin, that year didn't technically Van Gundy got fired. Pat Riley briefly took over. And then obviously they went on to Eric Spoelstra right after that. And so, yeah, that was a great question right there. But Kevin, before we get your reaction to Michael Malone and Mike Budenholzer being fired, I just have to say the Stockton Kings just won the NBA G League championship. So congratulations to the Stockton Kings.
Sacramento's winning something.
Hey, 209 representing. But Kevin, what was your reaction to the Mikes being fired?
So Mike Budenholzer, the Phoenix Suns, I feel bad for.
Didn't they start 9-1?
I couldn't tell you what they started, but I remember a couple years ago, Kevin Durant's toe on the line. Everyone talks about that, but nobody talks about the Phoenix Suns run to the NBA Finals, up 2-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they just crumbled. Giannis in 6, ended with a 55-piece nugget. The Phoenix Suns are now paying 3 coaches for the next 9 years.
Yeah, I saw that. It's crazy.
Mike Budenholzer, Frank Vogel, and Monty Williams. There are 3 coaches that are going to they don't even have to coach. They are sitting on their ass, getting paid. You now have Devin Booker coming out. I played hard the very last game because this might be my last game. Shams already said Kevin Durant will not be playing in Phoenix next year. It kind of makes you think, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges. Like, it's crazy now to think that they were all on the same team. And we always know when you trade for a guy like Kevin Durant, you're gutting your team. And they still had a chance. They were still able to do that and keep a guy like DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. And then what do? You double down and go get Bradley Beal. And what has that done for you? Nothing. So I remember in the beginning of this season, or maybe last season, the new GM came out and said 31 other teams would pray for our roster, would kill to have our roster. And now looking at it, 11th seed, you're paying 3 coaches. The Kevin Durant shamble just catapulted. Kevin Durant is up there with the LeBron James and the Kobe Bryants. They're getting coaches canned. And at least the Kobe's and LeBrons are winning rings. Kevin Durant hasn't made it close without number 30 with him. So it's sad to say that Kevin Durant is going to go down as a coach killer. But just like he is with Michael Malone, Russell Westbrook is a coach killer just as much as Kevin Durant. Everywhere he has played, the coach has been fired. And there's a lot coming out that the team wasn't happy with the defense. They weren't happy with Russ getting all his attention. They weren't happy with KCP getting their love. I think we as a basketball world need to be okay with people just having magical runs. They did it. The Nuggets did it. The Bucks did it. And we have to be okay with them probably never going back. Michael Malone took a 2nd-round draft pick during a Taco Bell commercial. 3 MVPs and arguably having his best season of his career. And you fire that guy 4 games before the playoffs. A week before that, we saw the Memphis Grizzlies fire their coach 9 games before the playoffs. And it's like, when we talked about that, if the goal was to can the guy anyways, why not let him finish? If the goal is he's getting canned, championship or nothing. Like in The Last Dance, they told him, you're done. Phil, you're out of here. We can go 82-0 and win a championship. You will not be the coach next year. And if that was the plan, why not let him finish? Because now it's like you're showing your fans and your organization that you don't give a shit. You think that this team has peaked and they want to execute on this duo, but they haven't. Like that year they won the championship, some people could say it was a fluke. Joker has not had an all-NBA teammate, an all-star teammate, an all-defensive teammate, and they won a ring. You should sit back and build Mike Malone a fucking statue. But no, they can him. And now he now is getting paid for the next 2 seasons to sit on his ass. So it's going to be interesting to see. I would love to see these coaches land on their feet. But as far as I think Budenholzer kind of got the short end of the stick. Mike Malone, you can definitely say that they had some lapses on defense. They had made some questionable decisions. But what people don't understand is the coach doesn't have final say on shit on the roster. That's the GM and the owner. Mike just coaches what he gets. And when you let guys go like KCP, now you got to hope guys like Christian Braun and Julius Strawther can come along and do what you expected them to be. And that's just not the case. So it's really disappointing as an NBA culture because, Coach, it's becoming an NFL. It's a year-to-year basis. We don't care what you've done for us 4 or 5 years ago. If you're not winning now, you're gone. And what does that show? Because Toddy was talking about Michael Malone to the Kings, and then he was talking about the Grizzlies coach to the Kings. I was like, why would you want to go somewhere? You break a 16-year playoff drought, coach of the year, and you still get fired. So it's like you have to be it's NBA championship or bust every season. We saw Luka get traded. We've seen coaches get fired 3 games before the playoffs. The NBA is in fucking shambles. And as an NBA fan, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, and as I said in our group text, there's no way Michael Malone is coming back to Sacramento while Vivek Ranadive is the owner. Like, Pete D'Alessandro may be gone. The whole regime may be gone. But that one guy is still here. And Michael Malone cannot stand that man. And so why would he come back to Sacramento? And Kevin, to your point, they have Mike Brown, the first coach to lead you to the playoffs in 17 years. And even in the season in which they missed the playoffs in his second year, they had a winning record. And now the corpse of Michael Malone just won 40 games. And so the Kings did that for the 3rd consecutive season. And I said Michael Malone, I meant to say Mike Brown. Too many Mikes. Michael Malone, Mike Budenholzer, Mike Brown. Nevertheless, and also I wanted to, Kevin, when you were talking about Russell Westbrook, it just instantly made me think of a meme. You guys might have seen this meme. The listeners might have seen this meme. But Russell Westbrook, the coach killer. I love Russell Westbrook, but, This meme has been making the rounds, and you can now add the Nuggets door to this as he's knocking on the Lakers door.
OKC and in Washington.
I mean, to be honest,
The only coach that didn't get fired was Ty Lue. Everyone else, the coach has been fired.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, we need it. This is an old meme, but it was recirculating. We should probably add a couple doors to it. Obviously, Ty Lue didn't get fired, but now you have the Nuggets firing Michael Malone. And so, yeah, it's just really interesting. Michael Malone just seemed to go down with the ship, and the ship being the Russell Westbrook ship. And for Mike Budenholzer, just didn't work out. I really don't understand how it didn't work out to at least get into the play-in, other than the Suns obviously quit on him. And that is just a toxic environment in general. Kevin Durant had the opportunity to go back to the Warriors or to even go elsewhere at the trade deadline. And he said, nah, I don't want to get traded mid-season. Maybe he just wanted an early vacation. He's got a couple rings, I guess. But Alex, what did you think about Michael Malone and Mike Budenholzer, 2 championship head coaches from the last 5 years, each being fired by their respective teams?
So I'll go with Budenholzer first. I feel like if you fire a coach after his first year, he hasn't really reached his max. And I think that, coupled with the horrible roster the Suns have, right? Like Kevin stated earlier, they had that run because they had players that they drafted, that they developed, then they traded for a few, and then they got in some free agents, and then they got this really good core, this young core, with maybe some veterans, but I thought it was good enough for them to be a threat in the West at least. That was in 2021, at least until like 2025, right? Now, right? And I feel like the Bradley Beal trade was awful. I'm not trading for a man unless you're Steph Curry or LeBron James. If you have a trade clause in there. You're not, Bradley Beal's not that type of player to be having no trade clause in there and be like, oh no, you can't trade me. And the fact that
LeBron is the only other one. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have to say LeBron is literally the only other player in the NBA who has a no trade clause.
And he deserves it. Like, he deserves it. But for Bradley Beal to sit here and be like, I don't want to get traded when this team is falling apart at its pieces, right? I'm just like, okay, yeah, the team definitely gave up on Mike Budenholzer, so I feel really bad. And then kind of going into Mike Malone, I don't know why you would just, like you guys stated, just wait until the end of the playoffs. I think the Nuggets could at least made it to the second round. Maybe Western Conference if they get lucky, right? And then if they lose, okay, then you fire him. But at least you guys made a deep run. I don't think they're gonna make a deep run. They might get out of the fourth or the first round because they play the Clippers, and the Clippers.
It just comes down to Kawhi. If Kawhi don't play, they don't play.
I can't stand Kawhi because when he plays, he is amazing, but he just doesn't play, and you can't count him out. So I don't even know if they can make it out the first round. But yeah, I just think you can't. I feel like with the tenure he had, 10 years, I just think these owners, maybe I don't know much about the NFL, right? But I just feel like owners nowadays are just they're nitpicky, and they just want, they're just trying to see this as a business, right? Like the whole thing with the Luka trade, right? Look, the last game he just played with the Mavericks, he didn't want to leave. He bled that blue and white and silver they had. He was never going to go. And so I just feel like these owners now are just like, you know what? If you're not going to give us the results that we want every single year, then you're out of here. Like they did with Mike Brown earlier. So I can't believe it.
Yeah, you guys covered on the last episode how the Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins. That was a shocker. And then to me, Michael Malone was an even bigger shocker. With less than 5 games remaining in the season, they lose 4 games in a row, and they're the 4 seed, and they let him go. And Alex, to your point, they could still make a run, and they just might make a run. And also, when it comes to the Clippers, yes, Kawhi is the X factor. He played 47 minutes yesterday in a win at Golden State, which secured them a playoff spot and kept them out of the play-in. But from what I saw on Friday night, and this is recency bias, but what I saw Friday night when the Clippers came to Sacramento and they beat the Kings, James Harden looked like vintage James Harden, the beard.
Nice.
And as Jaevon is indicating, he was cooking. And so, Toddy, if you could, just give us your reaction to the firing of Michael Malone and Mike Budenholzer. And Kevin, I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. If Toddy's response is finished before I get back, bring us into the plan, please.
All right.
So Toddy,
I mean, you guys pretty much all hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Michael Malone firing was very blindsiding, I feel like, to the entire NBA community, the NBA world. Everybody was like, whoa. I think when Mike Brown was fired, Michael Malone was like one of those coaches that came out and said, like, nobody's safe in this league. He was a guy that literally won Coach of the Year, this, that, and the third. Give him all of his praises. And Michael Malone literally won a championship in Denver. And as Kevin already mentioned, like he should literally have a statue outside of Denver Stadium. And for him to get fired, it was just kind of like, he was kind of one of those coaches I thought was untouchable. Like, there's only like a handful of coaches. I feel like Missoula's job is safe for the most part. I thought Malone's job was up there. Spoelstra is a guy who's coached for Popovich. Like, those were the guys that I thought, probably you wouldn't think twice about, firing. And then all of a sudden he gets canned, and then they fire Calvin Booth as well. So don't really know too much what's going on in Denver. I don't think Jokic really had anything to do with it. I think he's kind of a very nonchalant guy. Like, when he averaged a triple-double, they asked him, like, how do you feel about averaging a triple-double? He was like, yeah, I think I've never done that before. I think it's pretty cool. So I don't think he's not going to go out of his way to say, yeah, that guy has to go or I'm out of here. He's going to be I think he's going to be up for a new contract extension. He's going to get like the super duper max. So whatever Denver is able to pay him, they're gonna blank check, as Kevin likes to say. As far as the Budenholzer firing, I think Phoenix is just a mess. The whole, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, that it's just a mess. And I think they're cleaning house. They already Sharanya already came out and said that KD is basically gone. I would imagine they try to move. I think you try to move all three of them, kind of just blow it up and start over. My only thing is I don't know if they try and trade Devin Booker. I feel like they would try to keep him and maybe build around him, but at the same time, it's been pretty stagnant with him. And I think I'm a D-Book guy. I think he's one of the best players in the league when it comes down to it. Literally started on the USA team this past summer. So, I mean, he's going to be a top commodity. I think his style of play is going to fit a lot of teams. He's a guy who can get a bucket in any which way. He can create for himself. He can pass. So, I mean, I wouldn't see a team that wouldn't need his services. But at the same time, Phoenix drafted him, and, he's still fairly young and can contribute. So I'm not sure what they'll do with him. As far as Bradley Beal goes, I don't know if anyone wants Bradley Beal at the number that he's at currently, so it'd be hard to move him. Alex already mentioned the no trade clause thing, which is insane. As Shaun mentioned how the only other person in the league is LeBron James. So either Bradley Beal's agent is Clark Kent, or somebody was handcuffed into signing that deal.
The Washington Wizards.
So it's kind of Budenholzer was kind of like a scapegoat. It's like, all right, you were only here for a year, but we're already a mess, so we just needed you to kind of just put a curtain over all of the shit that we had before. Just put a curtain over it. No one's gonna know there's a bunch of shit right here, but it still smells like shit at the end of the day. So, with that being said, I just think Phoenix kind of has to blow it up and just start over, go young. I'm not sure. They got a bunch of second-round picks, so, I mean, maybe they could use that to their advantage. Kevin already mentioned they're paying 3 coaches to not coach. I guess Ishbia just has it like that, and money's no object to him. So I don't know what Denver's doing. I think Michael Malone will get a job in 2.2 seconds once the season ends. I don't think Budenholzer will get another job anytime soon. But that's just the way I guess the new NBA is. Firing coaches right before the playoffs is something I never thought I'd ever see. Right, single digits, 9 games, 4 games left. You're out of here.
Playoff teams that are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, these are teams that are going to the playoffs. Like Budenholzer, I get it. Season's over. We got nothing to play for. That makes sense. But at the same time, when you have teams that are seeded like 4, 5, 6, like fighting for playoff spots, and yeah, you're out of here. We no longer need your services. This is mind-boggling to me. So I guess that's just the new NBA that we're all kind of adjusting to.
Yep. Michael Malone was fired, the latest that an NBA head coach has been fired in the regular season since Hubie Brown was let go like 20 years ago. And I think it was by the Memphis Grizzlies. And so it is a new NBA. Greg Popovich, the names that were mentioned, Greg Popovich, Eric Spoelstra, they're the last two who are basically invincible. And everyone else is on the chopping block because, as you said, Toddy, Michael Malone should have been in that category with those guys. And so the fact that he was let go, it's really ironic considering everything he had to say about Mike Brown. But as was said earlier, when it comes to Calvin Booth being fired, the GM of the Nuggets, according to all reports, Calvin Booth and Michael Malone just constantly were beefing. They never agreed on anything. Calvin Booth didn't want Michael Malone to be playing Westbrook as much. He wanted him to be playing the rookie guard that he drafted. And, you know, I think the Nuggets just wanted some cohesion. I probably would have kept Michael Malone. He used to get pissed off when people would call him Mike. He'd be like, my mother named me Michael. And so anyways, point being, you have a championship head coach, but that doesn't really seem to matter anymore because the only championship head coach that's still around is Joe Mazzulla, who just won, like from the last 5+ years, it's Joe Mazzulla. The list ends there. Oh, yes, and Steve Kerr. Thank you, Alex. Somehow my brain just wants me to forget that 2022 championship from the Warriors. But yeah, you look at Nick Nurse, 2019, he's gone. Frank Vogel, 2020, he's gone. You look at 2021, Mike Budenholzer had been gone from the Bucks. And to Alex's point, and also Osmosis Jones, what a name right there. I think Kerr is pretty untouchable too, as long as Steph is there. Not sure he sticks around for a rebuild, though. I completely agree with that as well. And yeah, Steve Kerr, 2022, Joe Mazzulla, 2024 are the only recent championship head coaches who are still around, which is just mind-boggling. And then obviously you go back to 2018, that's Steve Kerr again. And so it is a new NBA. It's crazy that this is what it's come to, but yet we shall move on just like those teams are moving on.